I thought losing my wife was the end of my life, until she left me for her ex and destroyed everything we built together. I watched her choose excitement over loyalty, only to see that same love collapse into betrayal, debt, and regret. While I fell to my lowest point, I had no idea karma was already turning in my favor. What happened next didn't just break her, it rebuilt me into a man I never thought I could become. But when she came back, it was already too late. I came home exhausted after another 12-hour shift at the office. My shoulders hurt, my tie felt tight around my neck, and all I wanted was a quiet dinner with my wife. When I opened the apartment door, Elena barely looked at me. "You're late again," she said softly. "I called you from work." "I know." Her cold voice bothered me, but I ignored it like I always did. For 3 years, I kept telling myself marriage was hard and love needed patience. I worked extra hours because Elena once told me she dreamed about owning a beautiful house near the ocean someday. While I changed clothes, she walked toward the bathroom. "I'm taking a shower," she said. "Okay. I ordered your favorite pasta." "Thanks." A few minutes later, her phone lit up on the kitchen table. At first, I ignored it. Then another message appeared. "Ryan, I miss us. I regret letting you marry him." My stomach tightened instantly. I stared at the screen, hoping I misunderstood something. But another message appeared before I could move. "Elena, sometimes I regret it too." My hands started shaking. I knew Ryan's name. He was the ex-boyfriend she once described as a mistake she forgot. My chest felt heavy as I opened the messages. "Ryan, do you still love me?" "Elena, I never stopped." I felt like the floor disappeared under my feet. The bathroom water stopped running. Panic rushed through me. I quickly locked her phone, but it was too late. My entire world had already cracked apart. Elena walked out wearing gray pajamas. "Why do you look pale?" I held up her phone. "Who is Ryan?" Her face lost all color. "Answer me," I said. She looked away. "Ethan, please." "How long?" She sat down slowly. "A few months." "A few months." I laughed bitterly. "You've been cheating on me for months?" "We didn't plan this." "You told him you never stopped loving him." Tears filled her eyes. I was confused. Confused people don't secretly meet their ex behind their husband's back. She covered her face with her hands. "I didn't want to hurt you." "You already did." Silence filled the apartment. I could hear my own heartbeat pounding inside my ears. Finally, I asked the question destroying me inside. "Did you ever love me?" Elena started crying harder. "I tried to." That answer hurt more than the cheating itself. I sat down across from her, feeling completely numb. "Everything I did was for us. I worked nonstop because I wanted you happy." "I know." The small wedding photo beside our television suddenly felt like proof that my entire life had been meaningless. Then why wasn't I enough? She wiped her tears slowly. "Being with you felt safe. But Ryan makes me feel alive." I stared at her in disbelief. "So I'm just the man who paid the bills? That's not fair." "No, Elena. What's unfair is loving someone who was never really mine." She whispered, "I need time to find myself." I nodded weakly. "Then go." That night, I slept alone on the living room couch while old memories tortured me. The next morning, I heard the front door open. "Elena?" She didn't answer. By the time I reached the hallway, she was already gone without looking back once. After Elena left, the apartment felt painfully quiet. I stopped cooking proper meals. I stopped sleeping normally. Most nights, I sat alone with whiskey in my hand, staring at the empty side of the bed she once used. One evening, my younger sister Sophie showed up unexpectedly. "You look terrible," she said the moment she walked inside. "I'm fine." "You haven't shaved in days." I said I'm fine. She grabbed the whiskey bottle from my hand. "No, you're not." I leaned back against the couch. "She chose him over me, Sophie. She made a selfish decision." "Then why does it feel like I lost everything?" Sophie sat beside me quietly. "Because you loved her more than yourself." Her words stayed in my head long after she left. Over the next few weeks, I became obsessed with understanding Ryan. I searched through old memories trying to find where I failed Elena. Slowly, painful moments started making sense. I remembered one night during our marriage when Elena laughed while watching an old motorcycle race online. "Ryan used to love this stuff," she said casually. Another time, while we ate dinner, she smiled sadly and whispered, "You're too careful sometimes, Ethan." At the time, I ignored those comments. Now they felt like warning signs I refused to see. Ryan wasn't responsible or dependable like me. He was reckless, charming, and unpredictable. Elena once called him her first real love. Maybe she never escaped him emotionally. One night after work, I opened social media and saw new photos of Elena and Ryan together. They were smiling at some rooftop restaurant while Ryan held her close. My chest tightened painfully. I called her immediately. She declined the call. I tried again. Nothing. The next morning at work, my coworker Marcus walked into my office holding coffee. "You look dead," he said. "Thanks. I heard about your wife." I stayed silent. Marcus crossed his arms. "Listen carefully. Ryan Blake isn't some romantic hero. You know him? My cousin dated one of his exes. Guy borrows money constantly. Manipulates women. Makes promises he never keeps. That's impossible." Marcus laughed bitterly. "Men like him survive because people want to believe them." I rubbed my forehead. "I don't care about Ryan. I just want my wife back." Marcus looked at me with disappointment. "You still think this is about love?" A few days later, I received a phone call from a woman named Diana Blake. "I'm Ryan's cousin," she said. My stomach tightened instantly. "Why are you calling me?" "Because I feel sorry for you." "What does that mean?" "Ryan is drowning in debt. Elena's paying for almost everything now." I froze. "What?" "He's done this before. Your wife thinks she saved him." I sat down slowly. "Why tell me this?" "Because someone should know the truth." After the call ended, I stared at my phone for almost an hour. Part of me wanted to hate Elena. Another part still wanted to protect her. A week later, Elena finally agreed to meet me at a small cafe downtown. She looked tired when she arrived. "Thanks for coming," I said quietly. She nodded without smiling. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Finally, I asked, "Are you happy with him?" "It's complicated." "That's not an answer." She looked down at her coffee cup. "Ryan and I have history." I laughed painfully. And what was I? A replacement? Elena sighed softly. "Ethan? No. Just answer me honestly once." My voice shook. "Did you ever truly love me?" She opened her mouth but said nothing. That silence destroyed me more than screaming ever could. Slowly, she removed her wedding ring and placed it on the table between us. Then she stood up and walked away while I stared at the ring beside my untouched coffee silently. The divorce papers arrived on a cold Monday morning. I stared at the envelope for almost 10 minutes before opening it. My hands felt numb as I signed page after page. Every signature felt like another piece of my life disappearing forever. At work, things became worse. During an important financial presentation, I accidentally showed incorrect numbers to a major client. The conference room went silent immediately. Mr. Howard slammed his folder shut. "Ethan, what the hell is this?" "I'm sorry. I mixed up the reports." "You mixed up reports worth millions?" "I'll fix it." "You should have fixed it before walking into this room." After the meeting ended, he called me into his office. "You've been distracted for weeks," he said sharply. "I know." "No, you don't." He pointed toward the door. "People are starting to notice." I lowered my head. "I'm dealing with personal problems." Mr. Howard sighed impatiently. "Then deal with them quickly. Because if this happens again, you're finished here." For the first time in years, I felt afraid of losing my career too. That night, I drank until my thoughts became blurry. Rain poured heavily as I wandered through downtown streets without direction. Somehow, my feet carried me toward Elena's new apartment. I stood across the street staring at the building silently. Then I heard shouting. "You promised you'd help me?" Ryan yelled. "I already gave you money." Elena shouted back. "You think love survives without sacrifice?" "I emptied my savings for you." I slowly stepped closer to the window. Ryan looked furious. "Then maybe you should have stayed with your boring husband." Elena burst into tears. "Don't say that." I froze. For weeks, I imagined them happy together while I suffered alone. But now their relationship looked broken, angry, and exhausting. Part of me wanted to run upstairs and protect her. But another voice inside me whispered, "Where was she when you cried alone?" Ryan grabbed his jacket aggressively. "I'm going out." "With who?" Elena demanded. "That's none of your business." He slammed the apartment door behind him. I watched Elena collapse onto the couch crying uncontrollably. My chest hurt seeing her like that. But I forced myself to walk away. The next morning, Sophie showed up at my apartment again. "You smell like alcohol," she said immediately. "I'm fine." "You keep saying that while destroying yourself." "I don't need another lecture." "Yes, you do." She crossed her arms. "You need help." "I just need time." "No, Ethan. You need therapy. I laughed bitterly. Therapy won't fix this. It might fix you. 2 days later, Sophie practically dragged me into Dr. Naomi Bennett's office. The woman smiled gently. You can sit anywhere. I don't really want to be here, I admitted. That's normal. For almost an hour, she quietly listened while I explained everything about Elena, Ryan, and the divorce. Finally, she asked softly, why do you think losing Elena destroyed you this completely? Because she was my whole world. Dr. Naomi nodded slowly. That's the problem. I frowned. What do you mean? You built your entire identity around saving her, pleasing her, protecting her. She leaned forward slightly. You loved her so much that you forgot to love yourself. Her words hit me harder than I expected. That night, I sat alone staring at Elena's contact number on my phone. My thumb hovered over the screen for several seconds. Then I finally pressed delete. For the first time since she left, I cried quietly afterward alone. Months passed slowly, but my life finally started changing. I returned to the gym every morning before work. I stopped drinking heavily. I even started sleeping properly again. The pain inside me still existed, but it no longer controlled every second of my life. One afternoon, Marcus walked into my office smiling. You finally look human again, he joked. Thanks, I think. I'm serious. You should celebrate. I'm not exactly in the mood for parties. Good. Because this isn't a party. He pointed toward the hallway. Come meet someone. That was how I met Olivia Chin. She stood near the conference room holding several business reports against her chest. Olivia, this is Ethan, Marcus said. Our company hired her for the new consulting project. She smiled politely. Nice to meet you. You too. Unlike most people, Olivia spoke calmly and listened carefully before answering questions. During lunch meetings, she never interrupted me or judged me. Somehow, talking to her felt peaceful. One evening after work, she noticed me staring quietly out the office window. You still think about her sometimes, don't you? She asked gently. I laughed awkwardly. Is it that obvious? You carry sadness in your eyes. That sounds depressing. It sounds honest. For the first time in months, I smiled naturally. Meanwhile, Elena's perfect relationship with Ryan began collapsing publicly. Marcus showed me an online article one morning. Ryan Blake's company officially failed, he said. I stared at the screen silently. Collectors are chasing him now, Marcus continued. Apparently he owes money everywhere. A strange emptiness settled inside me. Later that week, Sophie called me unexpectedly. You were right about Ryan, she said immediately. What happened? Elena found out he's cheating on her. My chest tightened. With who? A woman named Vanessa Moore. I closed my eyes slowly. Sophie sighed angrily. She destroyed her marriage for that loser. That night, rain poured heavily outside my apartment while I reviewed work documents alone. Suddenly, someone knocked on my door repeatedly. When I opened it, Elena stood there completely soaked. Ethan, her voice trembled. Please let me inside. For several seconds I couldn't speak. She looked thinner than before. Exhausted. Broken. I finally stepped aside silently. The moment she entered, she started crying. Ryan lied to me about everything, she whispered. The money, the cheating, all of it. I stayed quiet. He manipulated me, she continued. I was stupid. You made your choice. I know. Tears streamed down her face. I ruined everything. I crossed my arms tightly. Why are you here? Because I didn't know where else to go. The old version of me would have hugged her immediately. But now, something inside me felt different. Stronger. Elena looked at me desperately. I miss you. I swallowed hard. Do you miss me, or the life I gave you? That's not fair. Neither was what you did to me. She stepped closer. Ethan, please. I made a mistake. I stared directly into her tearful eyes. Did you only remember me after he destroyed you? Her expression shattered completely. For a moment, I almost reached for her. But then I remembered the sleepless nights, the humiliation, the silence when I begged her to love me. Elena suddenly broke down sobbing. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. My chest hurt painfully listening to her cry. But I quietly opened the apartment door anyway. She looked at me helplessly while rain echoed outside. Without saying another word, I slowly closed the door between us forever. A week after Elena appeared at my apartment, the letters started arriving. The first one waited outside my door early Monday morning. I confused excitement with love. I understand that now. I read the sentence 3 times before crumpling the paper in frustration. 2 days later, another letter arrived. You gave me loyalty every single day and I treated it like something ordinary. Every word reopened wounds I spent months trying to close. One evening, Sophie visited while I stared silently at another envelope. She sent more? She asked. I nodded. She has nerve. She sounds broken. Sophie crossed her arms angrily. Because Ryan abandoned her. What do you mean? He disappeared after paying his debts. Left her alone with almost nothing. I stayed quiet. She lost most of her savings helping him, Sophie continued. Now suddenly she remembers you. That's enough, Sophie. No, it isn't. Her voice softened slightly. You loved her honestly, Ethan. Don't let guilt drag you backward. After she left, I sat alone rereading Elena's latest letter. I spent years chasing feelings that never lasted. Meanwhile, you loved me quietly every single day. Part of me hated how badly I still wanted to believe her. Thankfully, Olivia kept pulling me forward without even trying. One evening after work, we sat together at a small restaurant downtown. You seem distracted, she said gently. Elena keeps contacting me. Olivia nodded calmly. That must be difficult. I looked at her carefully. You're not angry? Why would I be? Most people would get jealous. She smiled softly. I'm not competing with your past, Ethan. That answer stunned me. During my marriage, I constantly felt like I needed to prove my worth. Elena compared me to excitement, adventure, danger. Nothing I did ever felt enough. But sitting beside Olivia felt peaceful instead of exhausting. For the first time in years, I started imagining a future that wasn't controlled by betrayal. Then Elena appeared at my apartment again. This time she looked calmer but deeply tired. Can we talk? She asked quietly. I hesitated before stepping aside. She sat across from me at the kitchen table, twisting her hands nervously. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, she whispered. I stayed silent. But losing you made me realize how badly I misunderstood love. You realized that after Ryan left. Pain flashed across her face. I deserve that. Several heavy seconds passed between us. Finally, she looked directly into my eyes. Could you ever forgive me? I leaned back slowly. Maybe one day I'll forgive you, my voice tightened painfully. But I can never trust you again. Tears filled her eyes instantly. I destroyed the only person who truly cared about me, she whispered. I said nothing because deep down we both knew it was true. Elena wiped her tears slowly before standing up. For a moment she looked like she wanted to hug me one last time. But she stopped herself. As she walked toward the door, I realized something important. The woman leaving my apartment was finally understanding the weight of her choices. And for the first time, she knew she had permanently lost the man who once loved her more than himself. Ryan's downfall happened slowly at first, then all at once. One morning, Marcus walked into my office holding his phone. You need to see this, he said. I looked at the screen and immediately recognized Ryan's face beside a news headline. Fraud investigation? I asked quietly. Marcus nodded. Several investors accused him of stealing money. I stared silently at the article while my chest filled with complicated emotions. A few hours later, Sophie called me excitedly. Diana exposed him online, she said immediately. What do you mean? She posted everything. Fake business deals, manipulated girlfriends, unpaid debts. People are destroying him in the comments. I leaned back in my chair slowly. And Elena? She's getting blamed too because she defended him publicly. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Finally, Sophie sighed. Do you feel satisfied? I thought carefully before answering. No. Just tired. Surprisingly, my own life finally started stabilizing around the same time. Mr. Howard called me into his office one afternoon. You've improved a lot recently, he admitted. Thank you. I'm promoting you to senior financial director. I blinked in shock. Seriously? You earned it. He smirked slightly. Try not to destroy another meeting. For the first time in months, I laughed naturally. The promotion also meant traveling for new business opportunities. Slowly, my world expanded beyond heartbreak and betrayal. During therapy, Dr. Naomi noticed the change immediately. You seem lighter, she said. I think I finally stopped waiting for Elena to come back. That's progress. I hesitated before asking quietly, does healing ever fully happen? She smiled gently. Healing isn't about revenge, Ethan. It's about reclaiming peace. Her words stayed with me afterward. Weeks later, Olivia and I visited a bookstore cafe after work. We spent nearly an hour joking about terrible novels and arguing over coffee flavors. You're impossible, Olivia laughed. You started the argument. No, you just have bad taste. For a brief moment, life felt normal again. Then I noticed someone standing near the entrance. Elena. She froze when our eyes met. The happiness on my face disappeared instantly. She looked thinner than before, almost fragile. But what hurt most was the expression in her eyes when she saw Olivia beside me. Heartbreak. Real heartbreak. Olivia glanced between us carefully. Do you want me to leave? No, I answered softly. Elena approached slowly. I didn't know you'd be here. I nodded awkwardly. Neither did I. Her eyes moved toward Olivia again. You look happy. For the first time, I realized she truly understood I had moved on. Oddly, I didn't feel anger anymore. Only sadness for everything we destroyed together. That evening, I returned home and found a handwritten letter outside my apartment door. I recognized Elena's handwriting immediately. Inside she wrote, "Thank you for loving me sincerely when I didn't deserve it. I kept chasing excitement until karma finally forced me to face myself. Losing you became the punishment I'll carry forever." I finished reading slowly. Then I folded the letter carefully, placed it inside my drawer, and walked away without reopening it again afterward. A year later, my life doesn't even feel like the same story anymore. I wake up early not because I'm escaping pain, but because I actually have direction now. Work doesn't feel like punishment anymore. It feels like something I'm building for myself. One morning, Marcus looked at me across the office table and smiled. "You're different now," he said. I shrugged slightly. "Different how?" "Calmer. Like you're not carrying the whole world on your back anymore." I nodded. I guess I stopped trying to fix what I couldn't. Olivia walked in a moment later holding coffee for both of us. "You two talking about work or life again?" she asked with a small smile. Marcus laughed. "Same thing with him lately." Olivia handed me my cup. "You're heading out of town again this weekend?" "Business trip," I said. She nodded gently. "Text me when you arrive." There was no pressure in her voice. No fear. No control. Just care. That difference still surprises me every time. Later that evening, I was returning from the trip when my train stopped at a small station due to delay. I stepped onto the platform for air. That's when I saw her. Elena. She was sitting on a bench alone, hands tightly wrapped around her coat. For a moment, I wasn't sure it was really her. Then she looked up. Our eyes met. She stood up slowly. "Ethan." I walked closer cautiously. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Neither did I," she said softly. We sat on the bench together, silence stretching between us. Finally she spoke. "You look different." "I've changed." She nodded. "I can see that." Another pause. "I lost everything after you left," she admitted quietly. I looked forward instead of at her. "I heard." She swallowed hard. "Ryan was never what I thought he was." I stayed silent. "I spent so much time chasing something exciting," she continued, voice shaking. "I ignored the only real thing I ever had." I finally turned toward her. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because I need you to know I understand what I destroyed." I exhaled slowly. "Elena, I don't hate you anymore." Her eyes widened slightly. "But I don't feel anything for you either," I added honestly. Silence fell again. "I thought I was in love with him," she whispered. "But it was just noise. You were always the quiet truth I didn't appreciate." The train horn sounded in the distance. She stood up quickly. "Ethan, before you go." I looked at her. "You were the best thing that ever happened to me." I gave a small, sad smile. "I hope you heal," I said quietly. Then I turned toward the arriving train. Behind me I heard her voice one last time, but I didn't look back. I stepped onto the train and took my seat. As the doors closed, I realized something simple but final. She was part of my past, but she was no longer part of who I had become. And as the train moved forward, so did I. Finally free, finally whole, finally me.